Am I the asshole for punching my wife's best friend after she touched me inappropriately? Hey everyone, Lurker here. I've tried posting this from a different account, however, it did not work, so I hope this works. I, 35 male, have been with my wife, 34 female, for close to 10 years. We have no kids as of now. My wife's best friend, Amy, has been friends with my wife for about 15 years, all throughout college where I originally met my wife. Me and Amy haven't ever been the best of friends. However, we've been cordial for the sake of my wife. I've always found her to be obnoxious, loud, and entitled, the kind that inserts herself into anything in every conversation, whether that be on a night out with my friends or a private conversation. For example, myself and my best friend were talking about fertility issues in his marriage during a dinner with our longtime friends. We were quiet enough so that nobody could hear us over the chatter, yet she found a way to be nosy and made a comment about how she would just herself if she couldn't do that one thing a woman was made to do. That pissed off my best friend, Max, and his wife to the point where they excused themselves and left early to go home. Now on to the actual situation at hand. Amy's boyfriend, Khalid, had left her due to her annoying personality. I think it was more of a build-up, but what set him off was Amy purposely did not feed their dog while he was on a work trip because he was sleeping while she was drunk and calling him to collect her. That's only the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, so she
Drunk
was
calling
retaliating.
him. Yeah.
Because he didn't answer the phone.
Oh.
Yeah. Amy has always been weird with me. She has constantly tried to DM me on Instagram, trying to make conversation about gossip in our friend group or completely random things. I've always ignored her. My wife has always seen her past strange behavior. She refuses to believe her best friend would have ill intentions. After their breakup, Amy came over to our house to see my wife. My wife was feeling ill on this day, so she took pills to help her sleep and fell asleep in a matter of an hour. I could not ask Amy to leave in the state she was in, so for my wife, I suggested that she would sleep in the guest bedroom. She agreed and went to bed. I was in the kitchen cleaning up after dinner, and she waltzed into the kitchen with nothing but undergarments on. She acted shocked and claimed she didn't know I was still in the kitchen. I felt extremely uncomfortable and decided to call it a night. However, she started stripping and approaching me, telling me how my wife doesn't have to know and she's seen the way I've looked at her. I was completely baffled. And she told me she's gotten, you're okay. And she's told me she's gotten the wrong idea and to be ashamed to do this to her own best friend while I try to scurry out of the kitchen. However, she practically leaped in front of me and touched my privates. Without a second thought, I hit her. I know I could have easily pushed her, but in the moment, I panicked and I punched her in the face. Her eye was left bruised. She started wailing, enough that my wife woke up and stumbled into the kitchen to see her best friend naked and bruised. She then went on to say, I tried to rape her and that I'm a disgusting human being and she should divorce me. I snapped back that she approached me naked and a rejection wasn't enough for her to back off, so I punched her, hence the bruise. My wife didn't say anything. Instead, she fainted and I immediately brought her to the hospital. My wife is now okay, but she refuses to talk to me about what happened. On the other hand, Amy has now accused me of attempting to have sex with her in our friend group. The majority of people don't believe her, but there are a few who live by always believing a accusation. The other half told me I f***ed up by punching her and fueling this anger. Amy has ruined my life. I'm afraid my wife will divorce me and this goes to court. I've already contemplated many times. I don't know where to go from here. What do I do? Where do I go from here? Any advice would be appreciated. Edit number 1. I know the story sounds absurd and I wish it were fake, but it's not. The unnecessary details are brought in to point an overall picture of her character. I guess it's worth mentioning my wife feels like she owes her life to Amy for getting her out of an abusive household when they were teenagers. They're like practically sisters. Amy was also not drunk. Edit number 2, a few things I would like to clarify to avoid confusion. 1, Amy claims to have gone to the kitchen to get a glass of water, not knowing I was still there. She then claims I took advantage of her. 2, the incident happened at approximately 3 a.m. It's now 8 a.m. 3, she came up with this story and posted it in our group chat right after she went back home. 4, a majority of our friend group have to get up early for their responsibilities, hence how this misinformation has spread like wildfire. I've been getting individual DMs on advice and opinions since where I've concluded the majority are on my side. Some say I shouldn't have punched her and the rest believe her. 5, my wife has been up all night and refuses to talk to me. I have not tried to push her to talk to me. For now, she needs time to process it. And then he also adds a comment, I'm contemplating on texting her ex, Khalid, who left her, and try asking him if she's done anything similar to his knowledge. He may be able to make my story more believable based on a factual pattern of behavior rather than word against word. Just not sure if it's a good idea. Update number 2. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for their support, input, and advice, which I used profusely in this situation. On the other hand, a lot of people thought this story was fake or some sort of gross fantasy. It was not. I'm still suffering the aftermath of what happened. I haven't slept or ate. For the people who proceeded to say that I should have had sex with Amy or DM'd me calling me a sicko, I truly hope you find peace in your lives. And to the comments calling me an asshole, which were interestingly mostly from men, I truly hope you treat the women in your life with the same respect and equality they deserve. Now on to the update. A lot has happened in the past 9 hours. Someone made a suggestion to text Khalid, and so I did. Khalid was just as distraught as me and admitted that this was in fact not the first time she had screamed just like some of you have suspected. She has threatened to scream to use Khalid to stay in the relationship with her. He got out of it by installing cameras without her knowledge and contacting a lawyer in case she went through with her claims. This worked in my favor. He was very supportive and sympathetic. I confronted Amy with all the fallacies in her story and mentioned the existing evidence Khalid still had if she was interested in taking her claims to court. She panicked and told me no, apologized, and said she wasn't in her right mind after the breakup. I got her to admit this in the group chat, as I am not interested in false rumors spreading about me in case someone was still unsure of the situation. She shortly left the group chat and cut off all contact with everyone. In other words, she has become unreachable. I explained to my wife what had happened. She had seen all the messages with her confession anyway. My wife told me she genuinely didn't know who to believe and was contemplating divorce in that moment. I was heartbroken. I told her I needed time to process everything that had happened in the past 14 hours. I will be sleeping in the guest room tonight. I'm happy she believes me now, but it doesn't sit well with me that it took an actual confession out of Amy for my wife to side with me. I've been with my wife for 10 years and would expect her to know me better than that. But at the same time, she didn't know Amy was capable of something like that in 15 years. My marriage has definitely taken a hit with this situation. Although I love my wife and have seen past every other time she has defended Amy, the situation is something I can't get over overnight. And then edit, I'm very aware and understanding of my wife's situation. She feels indebted to Amy, and there's definitely a power play at hand. However, my wife has laughed off the incident and dismissed the fact of how traumatizing it was for me. She still refuses to see Amy as the villain and is blaming it on the emotional heartbreak of her breakup. Second update, so it's been a bit over 2 months since the incident occurred. Needless to say, it's been a hectic 2 months. In short, my wife's best friend Amy forced herself onto me. I hit her, she accused me of SA. Wife believed Amy until she was backed into a corner and confessed to the truth. Wife didn't give much importance when it came to me and proceeded to laugh it off and call it a big misunderstanding. Now for the actual update. I tried to make it work, I really did. For 2 months I tried to brush it off and dealt with my wife still having frequent hangouts with Amy and telling me about them all excitedly as if her own best friend didn't just try to have sex with me. However, the last straw was a few days ago where my wife was telling me how her and Amy are planning a trip to Greece for the summer holidays and how she can't wait to finally have a break from life's stresses.
Oh my gosh.
I simply said nothing, and I walked away from her. She followed me and asked me if everything was okay, and told her how I can't believe she dismissed the fact that Amy accused me of when in actual fact she forced herself onto me, and how when it came to Amy she believed her and was willing to divorce me on the spot, but when it came to me she brushes it off and continues to have her girly hang out with the very friend who tried to destroy our marriage. I blatantly told her she doesn't care for me. My wife started bursting into tears and had the audacity to say, "At that again? Why can't you just get over it?" I don't know why I thought she would have listened now. I had enough at this point and told her we're getting a divorce. Walked away and started packing my suitcase as she tried her hardest to stop me, pulling my shirt, hitting me, throwing things, going from calling me names to begging me to stay. I walked out and I'm now staying at a hotel while her and her family blow up on my phone. I don't know what to do. My wife has found this post and put the pieces together. I may have to terminate this account.
Oh no.
Oops. Update number 2. I'm not terminating this account. There's comments about my wife looking for quote-unquote sugar daddies on her Reddit. This is absolutely bonkers. Wait. There's comments about my wife looking for quote-unquote sugar daddies on her Reddit. This is absolutely bonkers and I'm heartbroken. Also planning on going home to make this divorce official. So she was...
Was it after?
I don't know. I don't know about that one. Maybe we just leave that one be.
Might be nothing. I don't know. That's crazy.
Update number 3. I'm back home and I've kicked her out. Just told her if she doesn't leave, I'll call the authorities. I told her to contact me through my lawyer if she wants to speak. Again, she tried everything to stop me, even tried having sex with me, ? I did ask her about her supposed Reddit account and she denied everything, but I can't say I believe her. Some of you mentioned it was a setup or some sort of test from the start. This could be a possibility as my wife never wakes up that easily after taking sleeping pills, and it's likely she brushed it off due to the guilt. Still, though, it was uncalled for, and her mentioning divorce over a accusation she knew was fake just makes it worse. Thank you all for your kindness and support.
My boyfriend got the girl he told me not to worry about pregnant. I just found out I'm pregnant too. Story time. But me and my fiance, Steve, have been together for just over 3 years. And of course, I love this man more than anything. Steve has no idea that I am pregnant. I was going to tell him on his birthday, which is next month. You know, I wanted to surprise him. Until I found out there was something going on with this other girl. There was no normal signs. There was no decline in our relationship. It was like one day a switch just flipped in him and he was a completely different person. So we went around to a friend's house a few weeks ago and I noticed he was being really, really distant. I just chalked it up to him being tired. These past 2 weeks, he hasn't even so much as looked at me. So on Friday, I went out to visit my sister. She lives in a different town. Actually decided to come home a few days early because I felt sick from being pregnant and I hadn't told my sister, so I just wanted to keep it to myself. Now, the worst part of all of this is that he was actually supposed to come with me, but he said that he had to stay behind because of this project he's working on. I've put too much of this on. Whoops. So I get home, I walk in and I go straight to the kitchen. I notice that there is 2 plates on the table with half-eaten food, a bottle of wine and 2 candlesticks like these, which have obviously had burnt candles in. It's all looking a little romantic for my liking. So when I got to the bedroom, I noticed that all of the sheets were ruffled up and there was a pair of women's shoes by the door. His pants were also in the hallway. It was obviously a quick take them off situation. So careless. If you think that's bad, it's a whole lot worse. I tried calling him, I tried texting him, but just nothing was going through. I actually realised when I texted him that he blocked me. The worst part is that I'd been really, really suspicious of this girl, and he had over and over again said, oh, don't worry, she's got a boyfriend, she just works in a different department, never gonna see her. She had in fact left her lanyard on my bedside table. He told me not to worry about her time and time again. After this, I thought I'm going to bring his family into it, I'll knock him down a few pegs. So I called his sister because I've always had a really, really good relationship with her. And this motherfucker was giving me attitude. Excuse me, Stacey. I didn't realise you were a part of our relationship, porn. Anyway, she's screaming at me down the phone and I thought, God, this girl just isn't going to get why I'm so wound up. So I screamed over the top of her, I'm pregnant. Radio silence. That shut a girl up, didn't it? And after this, she told me that she was going to get her brother to call me. Me and Steve met up later that day. You know, considering he's the one that cheated, I expected him to be quite respectful and nice to me. But no, he was very callous. He was very, very cruel. Learn the room. Know your place, Steve. Come on. Anyway, he just wasn't taking any of it in. And he was like, at least she gives me what I require from a partner. She's respected. She's supportive. She can give me a baby. Steve somehow got it in his head that because I have this thing called endometriosis, I just can't have kids. And I was like, and this is how I found out that he'd got this other girl pregnant. What? I and this other girl have decided to keep the baby. Please do let me know what you think on this whole situation.
Am I wrong for smoking so my relatives don't try and pawn their children on me? I live in British Columbia and my family often hosts at our home because we live on a lake. However, I always seem to get roped into watching the kids, which means I don't get to enjoy my life when we have guests. My husband will drink beer with his brother and dad, and my mother-in-law and sister-in-law will go on winery visits, while I end up at the house responsible for my nieces and nephews. So last weekend, I made sure I smoked so much before they showed up. My husband and his brother had to watch the kids because I was in no condition, and their mom is pissed at me because she trusts me to make better choices. I told her that my free time is valuable and I wasn't free childcare. And because my husband already had a few, his brother had to stay sober. Poor baby. My husband does think I should have tried talking to them for the 15th time instead of getting messed up. I think that they now know better than to not ask me if I even want to watch the kids. So, am I wrong?